What's going on, trainers? Welcome to episode 31 of Lured Up, the podcast where we take Pokemon Go way more seriously than we do ourselves.
That is true.
My name is Ken Pescator, joined by my two co-hosts, Melissa Pescator and Adam Tuttle. Guys, what is going on?
We're in the building.
Yeah, you are.
Hi,
well,
friends.
You're not in this building.
Well,
you're in a remote building.
We're in their building. Whoever's listening.
Their building?
In their
mean,
building.
you're building
your
your
head
house,
space is
car.
your head building. Your head building through your eardrums.
I'm in your headphones. Ooh.
Today is Monday, May 14th, 2018, and this episode is going to be brought to you by patreon.com/GottaWatchEmAll. Gotta Watch 'Em All is our parent network.
Ooh.
They have a Patreon. We've got a pretty modest goal up there. We want to get the community involved. There are already some very generous patrons that have already signed up. Terry Wolf being one of them. Terry, thank you so much.
Hearts.
Got to give Terry a
Terry
shout out
Wolf.
every episode. He is the man, and he supports us on patreon.com. So check us out and be like Terry.
And get lots of hearts for days.
Hearts for days. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the GoFest ticket release, which is super heated right now. The 0.103.2 APK was torn down. We'll go through that.
Nerd.
Niantic plans on building a 3D AR world map. This is
That's cool.
so crazy that I'm excited about it. We also have a special guest on today's episode. We interviewed Doctor PoGO. Doctor PoGO is the trainer that sat with John Hanke on that plane in San Francisco and set the internet ablaze with his...
Trainers on a plane.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. Trainers on a plane. We'll leave it like that.
Get
But
these
yeah,
trainers off this motherfucking plane.
Adam is loose. Adam is loosened up tonight.
Guys, I've had one bottle of water, okay? I am loosey-goosey.
That is awesome. Oh, all right, Adam. All right, now I feel better about tonight's episode. Adam is primed and ready. That's great. No, but we, Melissa and I had a chance to talk to Dr. PoGO last night, and we'll lay it all out in the middle of the episode. Man, there's a lot of stuff that went down on that plane. I mean, I would love to have been a fly on the wall.
I'd rather just be a passenger in the row behind him.
I'd rather just be John Hanke.
To know it all.
Lugia made a return to the game today for no reason.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
The Battle Showdown event ended today, so we'll briefly touch on Lugia's return. I don't know, it's very bizarre. I had probably the worst day of my life a couple days ago. I thought I was permabanned.
It was freaking hilarious.
We're going to leave it at that. We'll start talking about it later. We'll close out the episode with Latias Battle Party, which is going to be very similar to the Latios Battle Party that we did. So I got kind of creative with who I'm going to bring. So we should have some interesting lineups, not just a mirror image of what we had for Latios. Okay, let's talk about GoFest.
GoFest.
I don't want to
All
talk
right.
about it.
So this is what they did differently than last year. Rather than have one entrance and one place, this tight little park where everyone's cramming to buy tickets on one day, and it was a madhouse. They said, look, we're going to have 2-day event. Each day is going to be the identical experience. Each day will have 2 entrances, which you'll have to choose at the time of sale. So they're going to be splitting it up. The tickets were going to go on sale. They released the times. There was a active countdown on the website of based on your time zone of how long it would take, for these tickets to go on sale. And as soon as the timer ran out, you would hit refresh and you'd have your glorious buy ticket button and everything would go just as planned, right?
Right.
No.
No,
that's not what happened.
happened?
All right, no, look, this is a heated thing. So I'm going to give you my feedback here and my experience of how this went down for me. And I was stressed the hell out, but this is what happened for me. So Adam and I were both, attempted to get in to buy the tickets. We were texting each other back and forth. It was like a ready, set, go kind of thing. Now I'm at my son's school for like a family event, like a dad event at the school.
Dads and donuts.
Dads and donuts, right?
Dads
So
and
I'm
donut.
like,
That sounds like an awesome plan. Like
it was awesome. It was awesome.
no,
I didn't
seriously.
eat
Like
donuts.
I don't even want to talk about Pokemon. Let's talk about dads and donuts.
So I'm stressed the hell out
No.
because I'm like, how am I going to pull myself away? How am I going to do this without being a total asshole? And luckily, at 12 o'clock, they were taking a break just after we ate, so all the kids could use the bathrooms and do all the stuff. So I was like, perfect. I've got like a 15-minute window here. I'm not going to miss anything. Everything's golden. I'm great. So I step outside at 11:58. The tickets went on sale at 12. I do this on my cell phone. I'm on Sprint LTE. 12 o'clock comes around, I hit refresh, the buy tickets button pops up, I click on it, there's a slight delay in loading the next page, maybe 20 seconds. And I'm stressing on those 20 seconds. I'm like, oh shit, forget it. We're done. We're done. It's crashed. 20 seconds goes by, next screen comes up, choose your entrance, choose your day. I'm flipping out, I'm texting Adam like, holy shit, I'm in. Then, Adam, you got in.
I was in too. Yeah, so you and me were both going back and forth, and you're like, no, don't escape out of it. Like, stay on the page. And so I was...
You're sending me updates, 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left, because you had the 10-minute timer to complete
timer, yeah.
So, Niantic made this big deal, and they put out the statement saying that to cut down on scalping, which was brutally bad last year, you were going to have to register your trainer name to your sale, to the ticket sale. So I'm thinking I'm buying 2 tickets, one for myself, one for Adam. I was like, send me the exact spelling of your trainer name so I know what to put on it. And as I'm going through the process, I put my credit card in. I'm getting to like the last screen and I'm like, what the hell? They're not asking me for my trainer names. Like, what's going on? And you could buy up to 6 tickets. So me thinking that I would have had to put trainer names into the ticket names, I say, I'm just going to buy the 2. So I complete the transaction. I buy the 2. I tell Adam, don't sweat it. We're good. We've got tickets. Obviously, he wasn't going to buy any because he would have no one to associate those tickets with because I already registered. And he left the lobby. I left the lobby. We could have got 12 tickets. But we ended up getting 2 because we thought we were going to have to attach it to his trainer. So I get the confirmation email and I'm like, wait a second. Where's the step to match up with a trainer name?
Yeah.
They bullshitted us. I guess they were just trying to like do this rogue security measure of saying this to kind of scare some people off. But from what I understand, the tickets actually were sold through, I think, 47 or 48 minutes after they released. So it wasn't like, Billy Joel tickets go on sale and like 2 minutes later they're sold out. Like they were on sale for 45, 48 minutes, something like that. And word kind of got out early on that you did not have to register your trainer name. And then that kind of opened the door for all the scalpers to just jump in there and try to gobble up 6 tickets each. Mystic 7 didn't get in, couldn't get tickets. A lot of the other YouTubers couldn't get tickets. And you go on eBay, and there they are, 400, 500, 1,000, 1,200, like
that's
immediately.
Ridiculous.
Now they're
go into the completed sales. That's where you're like, are you serious?
And it's like you're really doing this on good faith because you're still leaving it up to the person that you're buying the scalped ticket from to register your trainer name with. It's like you're leaving it up to them. It's
but
not
you don't have to register.
No, but ultimately, the way it works is the confirmation email I got says you'll receive an email in about 2 weeks with delivery and will call instructions. And at that point, that's when you have to register the trainer names.
Okay.
So that way, when they mail you the stuff, it's locked to your trainer name. The QR code is going to be just for you, and it's all good. If you don't register a trainer name by some certain window that they provide, they're going to actually cancel your ticket and refund you the money. So what's going to end up happening is if these scalpers don't sell these tickets, and probably the prices will crash as it gets close to the deadline of, having to register, they're just going to, it's like a win for the scalper because what's the worst that could happen? They don't sell the ticket and they get their $20 back.
Yeah, the first 5 or 6 on eBay that have sold and been completed, that means like they've already gotten checked out and paid for, is 400, 500, 223, 600,
crazy,
and 600.
Man. It's like, and it's like, why it sucks because you say like, why feed this machine, but I feel it. There was the two pillars of our local raid group, the 2 Pauls. They both didn't get tickets, and they're steaming because they couldn't get in. They had what happened to Mystic 7, where they actually got a crash where the page actually would not load. And when I was all said and done, I think the whole thing took me 6 minutes, and I was done. And
my friend was texting me, so he's like, hey, my friend can't get tickets. Can you try to, I was like, I'm in the screen with 2. You need one for your friend. Like, I don't know how this works, but, I think I can do it. And he's like, just buy him for me. Just buy him. And, yeah, I went to hit, checkout, and I forgot to hit the accept. And it was literally down to, the 3 or 4 seconds left before it reset. So I was like, oh, I didn't get them.
Dude,
That stinks.
and it's like, it sucks because if I would have been able to get 4 extra tickets, I could have just given them to the people in my group. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and you're not going to overcharge them or anything like that. It's you pay me what I paid. But the fact that
we didn't know,
and hardcore players and pillars of their communities can't go to this thing, it's a bummer. And it's like, I told him, I go, dude, just come anyway, you know, but you know, and he's even saying, he's like, I'm willing to pay extra, you know, he's ready to do it. I'm like, dude, you can't. I go, don't fucking feed the machine. Like, it's so bad. But Niantic is taking countermeasures, and apparently it's a felony in Illinois to scalp tickets. So
We'll see
I know
what
that
happens.
they're pulling listings down off eBay. So Mystic 7 had posted one was up to like $12,000.
What?
But I think that was just like
That's got to be a joke.
a troll, you know.
Yeah.
The tickets went on sale, and less than an hour later, they were sold out. I was listening to It's Super Effective podcast. They were talking about the scalpers and how all these tickets hit. Now, look, we're thinking about 30,000 tickets were sold to this event. 30,000 tickets. There was approximately 100 listings on eBay. Now, if these 100 people that have postings on eBay all bought 6 tickets each, we're still only talking about 600 tickets. And 600 tickets versus the 30,000 that were sold for the event, do the scalpers really have that big of an impact where that's the reason, you know, you can say, because of the scalpers, that's why I didn't get my ticket, you know, damn you? Or is this just a scenario where it's like when, you know, freaking Billy Joel goes on tour, you know, the tickets just sell out. You know, Bruce Springsteen comes around. It's like the shit sells out instantly. It's like we even had 45 minutes, but it sucks for sure, but
I just say hold out because Pokemon won't, like, once they figure out that, you know, a certain amount of these tickets won't actually make it because they didn't enter their ticket name or trainer name or whatever, they're going to resell them, and they will let us know.
Yeah, so it's...
So, I mean, just hold out.
Yeah, it's a damn shame that people are resorting to eBay and all that, but, you know, I feel you, but Adam and I are going to be there.
Woo!
And,
yeah.
Hype.
Have fun,
Hype.
guys.
Thanks,
babe.
So guess
Yeah.
what?
It's
We
my
are
birthday.
gonna.
She's told me, she's like, I'll send you there for your birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you, babe.
That's so
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, we're really excited because there was a shit ton of these partnered hotels with Niantic. Like after you completed the transaction, they link you to, you know, all these different partner hotels, and all the rooms were like $250, $400, $500, $600. There's someone from my group who's going. He got at one of the sponsored hotels. He's paying $400 a night.
What?
In a hotel? I mean, that's
That's
swank ass hotel, but $400, you know.
That's insanity.
Adam and I got the hookup. We're staying at a nice Airbnb, 5-minute walk from the park. It is.
That's key.
We are set. We are so
That's
set
awesome.
up because anytime during the day our feet hurt, we need to recharge, we need to go poop. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
we
my
can just
God,
walk right
dude.
back. This is
Yeah, you got a place to sit down and eat.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about this, and two other people from my group here in Jersey are going to be shacking up with us when we get out there. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to be at the event on Sunday, and we're going to be arriving on Friday. We're coordinating right now with the other podcasts, Pokemon Go podcast and Pokemon Go Radio. I think we're going to be doing like a big meetup on Friday night. The location is to be determined. We're all in a Discord right now, kind of working out the details, but as soon as we get that going, we'll put it out there, and we'll all get together and hang out and talk smack and all that good stuff. So that'll be Friday night.
We've got some special crazy spawns going to happen.
All right, so the promotional image came out for the event. They typically put these like poster-like images out, and they'll tuck in kind of some different Pokemon in the background, and this one's no different. We're getting Torkoal, which is amazing. It's the Indian regional.
Yeah.
And also on the poster is
Unknown B.
Unknown B. What is Adam, what do you think is the relevance of Unknown B?
Battle Party. Woo, woo.
Dude, all right,
That's
so
why.
people are saying PvP, it's a new battle system or something. There's no way in hell that Niantic is going to be dropping a new game mechanic during this event. No way they're going to risk that.
No. I don't think so at all. No, I think it's just a new unknown, period. And they probably have events planned, and that they will have unknowns at with extra or the new letters. But that one is just the one that doesn't fit in any of the other
It just
events.
usually spells something, you know? I don't know. I think it's going to spell Celebi. That's my because they announced that new special research was coming. So for everyone that already has Mew, round 2 for special research is coming. It's got to be Celebi. That's my guess. It has a B in it. Maybe it'll spell out Celebi. I don't know. That's my inappropriate speculation. Let's see if that comes true.
Speaking of speculation, I'm going to call it right here, right now, May 14th, 2018. Adam says that the new shiny, because they do this for every event, the new shinies, plural, is going to be the Plusle and Minun.
That would be awesome.
It just makes sense because they're why there's no relevance for them.
That's a really good call. So Plusle and Minun are the kind of front and center on this promotional image for GoFest. So that makes a lot of sense.
It's like they couldn't put Pikachu there and be like, oh, we're clearly going to get Pikachu shiny. But this, we don't have that shiny, those shinies. So like now we're going to get them. Guaranteed.
Interesting.
Somewhat.
Interesting. No, that's a good one.
All
now,
right.
And I do want to reference a really cool article. There was Andrew Goldfarb from IGN interviewed John Hanke and was talking about Chicago 2017 and that debacle and how that went down and what they've learned over the past year and why they returned back to Chicago, after having such a disaster last year. And there's a lot of good takeaways from this article. Now, this is the thing that it's important to remember. GoFest was the first big, large-scale event for Pokemon Go. But since then, there's been tons of safari zones, and the safari zones are typically taking place in a tight area, shopping center, a mall, a specific downtown where the concentration of people is massive. There was the Pikachu outbreak, and then in Yokohama, all this stuff there was 5 million trainers that came over 5 days in Yokohama. You know what I mean? It's like we're talking about 30,000 in Chicago versus 5 million that they dealt with in Yokohama, and there was no problems. So in this Andrew Goldfarb interview, Hanke says, this is pretty much a do-or-die scenario, and they really wanted to prove it to Chicago they could do it. And then this is the big one. All of the major carriers are deploying cows. Those are the cell on wheels. So there'll be a mobile network hotspot for all the major carriers set up in a way that we believe we will have full coverage, efficient coverage for everyone throughout the park. Now, if they were able to do this for 5 million players in Yokohama, they've got to be able to do it for 30,000 here, because now there's no way that they're not going to be prepared for the volume of people and the strain on the networks. I could imagine them just, saying, hey, 100 of these things should do it. And I can imagine someone being like, make it 200. Just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't screw this up. They cannot screw this up. But,
well, let's hope they don't screw it up.
But we'll see you guys there. We'll talk before then. But we're going to have some cool stuff going on, and maybe we'll do some cool community stuff. Go Fest. I'm excited.
Have fun.
I'm so excited.
There was a 0.103.2 APK Teardown. Sylph Road got through it. And we've learned some stuff. The Community Day special move for Charizard is going to be Blast Burn. This kind of follows the model of getting Frenzy Plant for Venusaur, Blast Burn for Charizard. So these are like the original moves that were only available to the starters in the main series game. So this is pretty cool that they're following that. There actually was not even like a leak, but there was a Japanese kind of Pokemon Go news outlet on YouTube, and they actually covered it. I guess they got the official footage from Niantic, similar to what they did with Trainer Tips and Holly when Frenzy Plant came out. They actually gave them the official footage. So you can actually see this move in action, and the animation is really badass. It's pretty cool. But this could make Charizard relevant, if all the stats and stuff were added to the game. I don't know how it all pans out. I'm sure we'll get that information soon enough.
I think he's better than Moltres. At that rate, because it does 100 base damage and it's a 2-bar.
It's a 2-bar move, right? So, that'd be awesome if Charizard becomes relevant. I would love to take Charizard.
Yeah, they need to do that. They need to step up Char.
Yeah, he's gonna be good against the Reggies.
And then the shiny, they're gonna give us a shiny.
Oh hell yeah, dude! This is the best looking shiny in all of Pokemon, in my opinion. So,
I can't wait for that.
Yes, in the APK Teardown, there was more hints to Pokestop submissions. This is a big one, and Trainer Tips just put out a really good video of him in Morocco where he was talking about this exceptionally small but very tight-knit community. They could be in an area where you have level 38, 39 players. Some of them were level 40, and they only have 5 Pokestops and 2 gyms in their entire area. And it's and they still manage to grind it out. And it was pretty amazing. And then what ended up happening was they started playing Ingress so they can submit portals in Ingress that would ultimately translate to Pokemon Go. So I got exceptionally curious, right? And I downloaded Ingress. And it is freaking awesome.
Really?
Like holy shit, if I was just a Pokemon Go player and not like a passionate Pokemon person, and I picked up Ingress after playing Pokemon Go, I might stick with Ingress. Like it blew me away. The format blew me away. The interface blew me away. Listen to this shit. No one is. I don't know why people haven't talked about this. There's an in-game chat feature in Ingress, right? With literally a slider that you can slide the distance, 5K, 10K, 20K, and you can have a full-blown open chat that allows you to tag people on your friends lists. And I can put it to 5K, and it's an open chat of everyone within 5 kilometers of me. And it's in real time.
That's cool.
That's what Pokemon Go needs. Like, I was like, we talk about all the portals all the time, but no one's talking about the chat. The chat was like the coolest feature. And I was in the park earlier and I had the game on. I don't know what the hell's going on. The interface is crazy learning curve. But I started earning experience. I don't know what the hell I did, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Here we go.
No, that's why I might log in on my work phone so then I can play Pokemon Go on one phone and Ingress on the other phone.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Okay, Charmander Community Day field research has been added to the game, or in the code. That's going to be just like Mareep, where it's, we'll just get the catch a Charmander research task during Community Day. There's been some more raid telemetry features. They're going to be pulling more data from how we behave in raids. This is going to probably clean up things like dodge time and latency. I'd imagine that's where that would go to. You can now get the Star Piece bundle available in the store. 8 Star Pieces for 400 Pokecoins. It's cool that it's available standalone. It's not really a good deal, though, when you consider that they typically will slam these into some kind of box where, you might only pay, a fraction of that for that.
See, I just got a whole bunch of super incubators, but because I thought they were going to go away from the store, but they're still in there.
Yeah, I've been holding off on the incubators.
I have no coins.
You got to play the gyms, yo. And then finally, my favorite thing of this update, you will be able to give Pokemon rare candy in bulk, no more one at a time.
Oh.
Things. So if you have 20 candy in your inventory, you'll be able to dump all 20 at once. So the teardown is out. It's pretty neat. I'm expecting, probably within a week or so, Android will fully have this update, and then, it'll trickle out to iOS. But, the game just continues to move forward. So, it was just a couple weeks ago where we were ramping up for the, 1.0 release, and then here we are already at 1.3 or 103.2. So the game moves on.
Keeping it moving.
I know. I'm like, at what point does my 5S lose functionality?
I think you're going to be safe for a while, dude. I don't think they're going to do another one of these drop-offs for a little bit. I think you got some time. There was an interview with John Hanke, was an interview with Routers, right? And they're talking about technology and the future of AR, and what comes out of this interview is the fact that Niantic has plans to build a 3D AR world map in the game. Now, ultimately, what this would mean in practical terms is we could pull out our phones through the game, open up AR mode, and 3D map things, essentially, that will be persistent in a world map. So if there's a tree in a certain spot and we walk up to it, and the camera identifies the tree and has the depth of field, it'll actually map it using GPS and can make that tree a permanent fixture and anchor it to that GPS location, thus allowing us to physically walk around that tree in an AR space, and it wouldn't be a scenario where you're kind of moving in front of it or behind it. You would actually be able to move around it because it's anchored to that location. Similar to
that's so cool.
AR Plus, when you give a Pokemon a Nanab, it'll stay put, and then you can walk it around because it's not a sticker AR like some of the Snapchat stuff. This is actual true AR where it's being planted in the ground. Now, what I get excited about this is because Escher Reality, this is one of the companies that Niantic acquired a couple months ago. Their software allows for persistent marking and tagging of items in the real world, in the AR space. So that's their specialty. So now they had this demo, and I don't know if you saw this, but they have this demo where they're playing volleyball, right? It's just like a kind of like a ping pong thing, but they're playing it in AR in real time. And it's very basic. It's very rough. But when you think about what this can mean for PvP, where you're looking through your phone, you see the person, and then they can interact with something, plant it in GPS, in the AR world, in a persistent space, that you, from your phone, looking at it from a different angle, can recognize that because you're sharing that same GPS AR space.
That's crazy.
It's freaking awesome. The future is now, yo.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. And then there was that video that you shared on Twitter, like, I don't know, like a month ago, where it was like some student made an augmented reality like battle system right there, and I'm like, and so many people are like crapping on it. It's like, okay, well, the kid got it, like, is doing it for a class
project. A school project, but no.
He's paying student loans to get this.
Persistent AR is going to be the future, and that's what Escher Reality is all about. Being this shared AR space between multiple devices, multiple platforms, and that's where you could leave something. You put something in that space, you could leave, and someone else can walk up to it, and they're going to see it. So it's cool.
How about we get AR Plus going for Android users? How about that?
Yeah, that's going to be coming soon. Now that they're rolling out AR Core, you gotta upgrade your phone, yo.
But pause. Think about this. How cool would the YouTubers' videos be having PvP?
I do.
You know what I mean? Like, that'd be sick.
I cannot wait to see where this goes. I think it's going to be just, I don't know. I think this is the gateway to PvP. You'll hear in just a moment in the interview with Doctor PoGO, we were kind of talking about John Hanke's thoughts on PvP and how it may be further away than we think, because he mentions that it's not necessarily even locked down of how they would implement it, not even the type of like how they would do it in the game. Like, they don't even have concrete grounds of what they're going to do, whether it's going to be turn-based or real-time. Like, it's still completely up in the air, so it's far away. But I ain't got nothing but time, yo. Mm-hmm. I played, and I brought this up with Dr. PoGO too. I played Warcraft, World of Warcraft for a long time, years. It's only been 2 years on Pokemon Go. You think about how long you would play a game like Halo, a franchise like Halo. You're buying new iterations of the game every year, but you're playing it for 5 or 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, Call of Duty.
We have it here where the game will constantly update and iterate on the device, and we keep updating the devices, and the game will update along with it. I think that we have plenty of time to see what this game can be, and this 3D world map is kind of groundbreaking. I think it's awesome. Persistent AR.
I'm excited for the future.
What we're going to do now is break off, and we're going to listen to the interview that Melissa and I did with Dr. PoGO. We'll just kind of cut this audio. The audio is going to sound a little bit different. We did this through a Google Hangout, so it might sound a little funky, but just hang in there, and when we get back, we'll discuss what we talked about. So see ya in a minute.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's Clefairy!
Fuck!
What's going on, everyone? Ken and Melissa here, and we're super excited to have joining us on the show today, Mike, Dr. PoGO himself.
Yay!
Mike, what's going on? How are you?
Thanks for having me. As always, I appreciate any way to get the word out and everything, and love to talk the games. So thank you for having me.
No, that's great. We're super excited to talk to you, and we've done a lot of talk over the past week or so or 2 weeks about what your conversation that you had with John Hanke. We're going to get into it in a deep dive, but it's before we even get there, before we even get down to the selfies and that, I want to talk about you being a level 40 times 4 player,
which is ridiculous, by the way. Like,
and,
ridiculous.
I want to know, what does it take to do that, and what is your typical day? What's a day in the life of you playing this game on a regular day, and then if you go hard, what is that day like? Like, I'm so curious.
Yeah. First of all, because I know there's all different types of people listening to this, I was a very casual player for a long time. I was a solo player, and I just played in my small little town I live in and everything like that. And I was constantly the best player, like highest level and everything like that, and almost got bored with the game. And then Gen 2 dropped, and then when raids came, I was like, oh man, you really need help. And I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to play this game? And I happened to run into a buddy of mine. I had watched a YouTube video for JT Gilly, and he caught a wild unknown at the San Leandro Marina, which is near Oakland, California, and everything. I was like, and I had never even seen an unknown in a gym. So I'm like, okay, so it's a nest or something. I was like, okay, so I just went out there, and we randomly found one. There was a frantic, we found one. It's here, come get it. And I got there, and I got my first one, and I have the video, and it's so funny, like listening to my reactions a year. Oh my god! Yeah, I know, it's really funny. It's really funny. But and I ran into a work buddy of mine that I hadn't seen in years, and I didn't even know he played. And he was speed capped, and so it was late at night, and so it actually ran from him, and we commiserated and started crying. But he's like, "Oh well," I was like, "How big's your raid group?" And I was like, "What's a raid group?" And he's like, "Oh well, we're in this pretty big group. It has 20 people." And it's funny now because that group now has 1,300 people now.
Wow.
But it was for the small little inklings, and I was level 38 at the time. When I went to GoFest, I was level 39, and I kind of I did 100 raids. There was no legendaries at that point. I did 100 of the normal raids because I was so paranoid that I wasn't going to be able to see the good raids at GoFest if I wasn't at least a silver medal.
Right.
I was like, okay, I know Brandon Tan was at 1,000 by that point already. I was like, but only Brandon Tan is at 1,000, so they gotta. I was like, they're not going to have it at 10. So maybe they'll have it 100. So I remember I did 100 in like 4 days really quickly. And when GoFest happened, I'll tell you, I think it's over-exaggerated how bad the event was because I was there. And it wasn't like people weren't like miserable the whole time. Like it was like a lot of the news articles I've seen. And don't get me wrong, like there was a lot of challenges. But once they expanded the game outside the park, we were able to play fine. And I'll tell you, when they dropped the legendaries, and they didn't tell us, I don't know how everybody else heard, but I never hear that talked about, as they just dropped. We were walking outside the park. We didn't even have
wait, what is that?
Yeah, no, we didn't even have the game open because, well, there's so many connection issues. So we're like, oh, that's good. We had a good day. We caught some unknowns, whatever. It's good. And I remember somebody's like, oh my God. I was like, I was like, who cares if we're getting one? I want that one. And we're like, oh, we thought it was an unknown. Because they had just announced they were all going to give us a Lugia for our Prebbles because, of all catches you. Right. And I remember I turned on the game and I saw it. And I turned to my buddy, and I won't say exactly what I said because it's not safe for work. But I was like, there's a Lugia over there. And I remember in slow-mo, when I said that out loud, there's about 5,000 people near me in this row, and we just start crossing the street. And this is a 6-lane street. We are running. Like, as we're running across the street, I was like, oh my God, there's another one. Oh my God, there's another one. And we tried to do them, and just the 5,000. It's so funny. If you see Mystic Seven's video, you see this guy running with a pizza box in his hand. It's me. And this video is so funny. And, and just those like couple of hours before I had to get on the plane, because I only flew in for the one day, that was the greatest video game experience I've ever had. And that was worth the trip. Like I was on the plane.
Awesome. Yeah.
I was on the plane. I was like, that is what people, and that's when and the reason, I know this is a long answer to your question, but you asked like, when did how do you become serious? Well, that event, I was like, I was like, okay, I'm going to be 40 for sure. And I started going pretend hard. Like I was, I look back at how many legendaries I did, like I did like 20 Articunos and I did like 40, Zapdos, and that's hilarious now because, I do more than that in a morning, type of thing.
Oh my God.
But, it still took me some time. I mean, my job, I'm really busy in the summertime, so I played as much as I could. I hit level 40 424 days into the game. I hit it in September of last year. And once I hit 40, I'm like, okay, now I'm really going to start playing this game. Like, I know a lot of people stop when they start playing 40. I was like, that's when the game begins. At that point, I was like, okay, I know these guys, they're at 40 million. I'm going to catch them. I caught them. I was like, okay. And then I just started looking for more places. It's like Reversal was actually like really playing hard. So Reversal was a big motivation for me. And he's like, okay. He's like, I'm going to get to 100. I was like, okay, I'm going to get to 100. And it almost happened actually at this point. And my goal originally was to get to 100 by the end of the year. But obviously that's not the goal anymore, And I mean, the second 40 million, the second 20 million, it took me 80 days. The next, it took me 60 days. The next, it took me 40 days. This one's a little bit slower because I'm starting to get busier again. But I mean, I'm going to do 80 million experience in like 300 days, and it took me 400 days to do the first. It's kind of comical when I think about it.
That's nuts,
crazy, dude.
That is so crazy. That's so awesome.
So here's to answer your question. What people really want to know is, how do you do all that? Well, the first thing that's really important is you got to find friends. You have to. I was very fortunate to be involved in a group of people that I could tell were very serious about the game. Who you hang out with matters a lot. Your circle of influence, as I like to say in this game, about what becomes important. I got a guy in my group that he has over 200 gold gyms, and worldwide in the rankings, he's in the top 30 in the world. Wow. So I got somebody like that in my group. I got another person in my group that has 150,000 Pokemon catches, and that's like 80th in the world. I have another person in my group that has 2,000 legendary raids, and that's like 80th in the world. And I pride myself on trying to be good at everything. So, like, I'm not the best in our group at any one tactic, but we have an overall ranking, like the King Point system in the 40 group. I'm the best player across the board because I'm second or third at everything. I really kind of – and so, I mean, it's like you find there's so many different ways to play this game. There's people that focus on gold gyms. There's people that are all about raid XP. There's people all about getting those perfects. There's people that are all about getting, medals. I think, if anything, if anybody asks me what my major focus is, I'm trying to get every gold medal in the game. And I'm down to just normal. I need like 100 more normal raids. I am embarrassingly really don't focus on research very much. I just let it happen in the background. I'm about to hit gold on that. I know there's people that are already at 4,000 on that. There's people in my group that are already at 2,000, but I just don't think it happen in the background. And then obviously I need 2 more unknown letters, but every other medal is gold. I only need 3 for the Pokedex. I'm only missing Relicanth, Tropius, and Torkoal, but we're getting Torkoal.
Exactly. So you'll be down to two Pokemon and 2 unknown.
So I'm really fired. And we have a tentative trip. We had a tentative trip planned just to get all 3 of them in November anyway. So now it's just 2. So I do need a male Corsola. I have 6 females, but I have a trip to the Cayman Islands next March, so I'll have a whole week to find a female, which is easy. So I think it's important the higher someone plays is you find reasons that are important to play. Like, I think if your goal is just to hit 40, you're going to get bored really quick. But if you, like I said, I'm in a speed raid group, I'm in a gymming group, I'm in a battle group, I'm in a level 40 group, I'm in the big Facebook, I'm in a travel group about finding new gyms that we don't have. I'm in a speed record group, like for raids, like how fast can we do this, or like the Venomoth challenge where you only use 1 Venomoth to kill an Executor and you can't die, which is so hard, by the way. So hard to do. But you find stuff to do, you find stuff to do and everything like that. And also, it's like, if you know where you rank, so I encourage, if you're a level 40 player listening to this, you don't have to be a part of the Facebook verify group to be a part of the survey. There's a Twitter, it's TL, like trainer level 40 data group on Twitter, register it every month. And, your first goal is just to see where you rank, just the report you get with, the percentage of ROR you're ranked against everybody else. That's fun. It's something to work on each month.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'll link to that in the description.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that's a crucial element that is, from a leaderboard perspective of something that could be, I guess, after we talk about the Hanke conversation, we could get into a little bit of an inappropriate speculation, and then, as a hardcore player, what you think the game needs. But I don't want to get ahead of myself yet. So pretty much what you're telling me is, in order to play in your style, you're plugged into the matrix pretty much from when you wake up to when you go to bed, huh?
No, I'm not. I think people think you have to play 24 hours a day. I think there's really only 2 players in the world like that. There's Kubayan, and then there's obviously Brendan Tan. Even King. Even King is approaching 300 million. I know King pretty well. He's a university professor. He's got a real. He has a life and everything like that. It's just when he plays, they really play. I mean, I think the one thing I was taught, somebody was asking me about this in my group when I was raiding with them, is like, hey, how do I improve my game? I was like, well, the first thing is what do you track? And they're like, what do you mean, what do I track? I was like, well, that's the first step. Is if you don't track your stats, you can't. If you don't know how well you're playing, you don't know. You can't compare. It's like you got to know. Whatever's important to you, whether it's gold gems. Okay, well, how many do you have? How many silvers do you have? Where do you, how long does it take you to get one? If you're a raider, I say, okay, how many raids have you done in a day? How many XP have you done in a day? It's like if you know this stuff, you become aware of it. All of a sudden, you start to improve. I track several. I have like an 8-page spreadsheet.
I was just about to say this.
Yeah,
I have this incredible
spreadsheet that this is the number one thing people ask about. Can you share this? Can you share this? I mean, like I track like everything. I track daily XP. I track versus the cap catch. I catch every time I have a million XP day. I track how it happens so I can improve on that. I track decks. I track.
You need someone just to do your data entry.
Crazy.
No, actually, initially it takes a long time, but it's a 10-minute process every morning. It's like what I do when I wake up in the morning. It's very easy once it's set up very simply, but I mean, I track how much money I spend on the game. I know to the dollar how much it costs for me to get a million XP. Like, so I'm trying to lower that number. It's like what I'm willing to do and everything like that. So little things like that. So. Yeah.
All right. So let's get to this plane ride, because this is it. Kind of took the Pokemon Go community by storm. It was something where you had a pretty clear line in the community of people that were on the fence of, or on the side of the fence of, look, this is a conversation. We're going to take it as that. And then you had people that were like, this is confirmed, world exclusive.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I was, when I listened to the 40 Club podcast, it was cool hearing that you kind of ran into him twice. Like, explain to us how it actually went down.
I was getting in line for the flight, and I looked to my right, and I'm like, that is totally John Hanke. And people ask me, well, how do you know his face? Well, I have photographic memory, but that's not important. But the reason why I knew him instantaneously is because when all the heck was happening with GoFest, he was sitting on stage. He wasn't hiding. He was answering everybody's questions. He sat there for hours. And I'll tell you, I'm in my own business. I know how hard it is to face the music and be the thing. And I was like, that's the type of guy I want running a company. I was like, okay, that's another reason why I got very serious about this game. I was like, because this game is not going anywhere because the leadership is correct. He gets a lot of things Niantic gets flack for, are some things that are out of control, or they expect you to be mind readers or make the whole thing. Like, I was like, the right guy is leading this company. That, it was very easy. You never heard him blaming, the cell towers or the city of Chicago. There was none of that. It was all him, and he was focusing on that. So I knew it was instantaneously. So I turned to him and I was like, hey, has anyone told you look like John Hanke? And I was trying not to laugh because I knew no one has ever said that ever. And he's like, and he starts laughing. He's like, nice to meet you. What's your name? And I was like, we got to take a quick selfie. And that was it. That was on the flight down. We were both going to a business conference. I asked, hey, where are you going? He's like, oh, I'm seeing my developers in LA. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, so Celebi's coming out this upcoming. I was trying to trip him up and everything, and he's like, he's laughing. And I was with work buddies, and I was like, I kind of try to keep my private life and my work life, separate and everything like that. And they're like, oh, who is that? Somebody came up to me and was like, oh, who's that celebrity you just took a picture with? I was like, oh, it was the CEO of Pokemon Go. And they're like, oh. And then, like, all my assistants are like, oh, we play that game too. I'm like, oh no. Like,
the door's open.
I found out somebody in my office is a level 40 player. It's been hiding it, that, and that went from that, and we went on our ways, and he was working on emails, and I was sitting with my guys, and then we're going back to the airport on the way home, and I get on the plane. I look to see, if you fly Southwest, there's that special seat with the exit row that has all the space, and so I look to see if there's anyone sitting there, and sure enough, who's sitting there? It's John Hanke, and I'm like, oh yes, this is gonna happen. I was like, I'm not gonna be bothered this time. I went to my buddies. I was like, I'm gonna sit right here. Don't bother me for the entire flight. And so I sit behind him, and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I sit here? I was like, hey, John, how was your work trip and everything? I was like, and we started building rapport. And when we were about to take off, no one had sat down yet. I was like, do you mind if we chat? And he's like, no problem. I'm like, let's go. And it just kind of went from there very organically. And he was very great. I could tell very quickly that he was not humoring me. He like literally wanted to hear what I had to say. I mean, he took out his iPad. He was taking notes on things we were chatting about. Like there were some things I was pleasantly surprised he wasn't aware of. He was like, oh yeah, so I guess you play a lot. How I was like, let me see your account. And he was like flabbergasted with how much XP I had and how many raids I'd done. He's like, there's really people that do that? I was like, aren't you aware of like where the money is coming from? Like, don't you see like, like our group has 15 people that play all day on a Sunday, for example, and we'll do 2,000 raids combined between us. Like, don't you see the money from that? Buying the passes over and over again. And so, it was interesting to see the things that they were aware of and weren't aware of. And, it was fun to see. There's a couple things he said when they come out I'm going to get credit for, and I hope he's not telling the truth on that, because if he posts like my trainer name and said, oh, the conversation I had with this trainer happened because of them, I can't even imagine how like I'm never going to sleep ever again. But I said, hey, if that's how it has to happen, make it happen. So
we were joking on the last episode when we were talking about when it hit the news, and I go, dude, for all we know, this guy could have been like feeding them cocktails, like trying to get them loosened up.
No, like we weren't even eating. Like they came by for that's why I knew he was really into it. He's like, no, I don't even need a drink. We're chatting. He like had nothing. Oh my god, if this was like a 4 or 5 hour flight, it would have gone. Like I jokingly said, I was like, hey, so when we fly to Go Fest, can you just give me a heads up because we can continue this chat? And he's like, all right, so yeah, so he flies in so early, like I got to still be working that week, but yes, I can't fly in the Monday before Go Fest, but yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah,
so how did you start getting into the actual like meat and potatoes of the conversation, and was there ever a point where the conversation shifted from the foreplay? To the actual.
Yeah, no, I'd say that it wasn't like I was, foresight being like, some people like, why didn't you ask about this? Why didn't you ask about this? Why didn't you ask about this? I was like, well, because it was an hour flight and you got to build rapport, you got to get the thing. But yeah, no, I mean, eventually he said, so I was like, so, I mean, you play this game a lot. What are some things you like about it? What would you change about it? And that's where, we brought up, obviously I was like, okay, I got to like cover everything I've ever heard anyone complain about to try and help everybody out here. Like I was never, I constantly deflected the question like, well, what do you want? And I was like, well, what I want is, I'm a ridiculous player. And so what I want is not what most people want. So it doesn't really matter what I want type of thing, and that's where we had the real detailed conversation about the raid map and and how easy that would be to implement because they already have a map for Ingress that they've been making for years and how easy it would be to have that happen. We talked about very specifics about how many miles we would need. Like it was, we were taking good notes back and forth. So that, we talked a lot about how community day could be improved and what we liked about it, and what people would want for community day and where to put it. We talked about, how the quest system was working and how there were some things happen from that. We talked about, how we can make the game better for rural players and how we could eliminate the advantages of some spoofers and that was obviously more Pokestop submission. But the other thing was about like you could introduce items to the game that are already in the main series games that could increase stats, could fix IVs. So instead of having to get this perfect IV Charmander, for example, you could catch any Charmander and you could use items or you could walk it, or there's ways to improve it so that, yes, a spoofer would get it quicker, but everybody could get it. And obviously, I said, obviously that's a big deal when PvP comes, that there has to be at least a starting playing field that's even. He said that's true. And that's also why trading is not out yet. Because ironically, trading, the thing that he said that he really didn't want with trading, it wasn't so much that people trading with accounts, like, stacking accounts for PvP, is he's really hesitant. He doesn't want, the reason why they're trying to get rid of the scalping tickets is because I know deep down he doesn't want people profiting off the game. Like he really wanted, what he was holding him back on trading the most is like, we have to find a way where people can't sell Pokemon online to somebody else for real money. He's like, I could tell that like was a real deep down like fear he had, that he like, he's like, I'm going to protect people. I don't want somebody to pay $1,000 for a shiny Charizard or something like that. He didn't use those exact words, but so that's that. And so obviously spoofing is part of it. but it's how do you implement trading in a way that's, you know, that's safe. Obviously, that's a real world aspect, but also that, you know, it eliminates, because, you know, there's a ton of online games. You know, people farm items and then they sell them online on eBay or something like that. He wanted to really kind of avoid that aspect.
You know, I was a WoW player for, you know, 6 or 7 years. So, you know, I've experienced the in-game economy and how that could spill over into the real world. So
right.
I've seen that firsthand.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the kind of the meat and potatoes of things we talked about. You know, we certainly talked about the level cap increase that's going to come eventually, and we talked about how he rolled it out in Ingress and why it was necessary. I mean, Ingress originally you were a level 8 player, and that's the equivalent of being like level 30 in Pokemon Go. So like he's like, it just reached a point where like almost every player was level 30. Imagine if the level cap in Pokemon Go was 30.
Right.
Like, imagine how ridiculous that would be.
Yeah.
You know, and so obviously that came in. So level 12 came very quickly. Level 12 is the equivalent of about level 35. It's a little bit different because you need medals in Ingress. So imagine like you're level 35 plus you have to have all the type medals or something like that, you know. So
other conditions.
So I mean that's how it's going to work. It's not going to be just XP. And that's, to be honest, that's a lot of us in the higher level community got the opinion that when the level cap comes, it wasn't going to be just XP. And that's why you saw in the 40 group how there's not just XP isn't the badge of honor anymore. It's the king point system. It's how good are you at the top 15 categories. And so having more medals and be a more well-rounded player, I think, is kind of how people were focusing. It also forces you to play the game differently and keeps it more interesting. He almost slipped when Celebi is coming out, although I think it's very obvious when Celebi is coming out at this point. I mean, they literally just said there's going to be special research at GoFest, not field research, but special research. That's what Mew was. I mean, that's clearly.
Hey, could the B in the GoFest poster be Celebi?
I mean, if you want to get speculative, you know, what makes sense to me is that it's going to be the people that go to GoFest are going to have a 1-day quest where they can get Celebi, and then everybody else is going to have it unlocked on the Monday. So, and they'll have to wait 7 days or something like that, or
like global challenge unlocked.
Yeah, it's not going to be, and I don't think anybody's. I mean, you know, that's. I mean, we all got legendaries at the same time, and you know, there's got to be something if you fly to Chicago that, you know, these people get. But I mean, that's most of the really simple meat and potatoes. Like, I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah, well, I mean, with looking at Mystic 7's video and everyone on Reddit and Twitter and, you know, what people grabbed from the conversation or grabbed from, you know, your posts, you know, or Reversal's kind of recap was, you know, okay, level cap is coming. We kind of all had that, knew that was going on. Gen 4 is in the works. Of course, that's happening. But there, you know, the big thing was PvP is coming. This is it. You know, it's been confirmed. And it's like, look,
the thing about PvP,
stuff, you know, it's all
thing about PvP. The reason why PvP is not imminent is because the conversation we're having with them is how they're going to implement it is still in play. You know, what I mentioned on our podcast was I point blank asked him. He's asked me, like, how would you do PvP? I was like, well, first of all, you have to improve the battle system. I was like, a real simple way you can do it from it. Also, I know a lot of programming, so I was talking with them from an aspect of how it would work on phones, not just like, oh, you need to do this. Like, I knew what it would take to do it, so I wasn't suggesting things that were like out of control. I was like, well, you need 4 moves, and it's really simple. You tap on the left side of the screen, you have 1 fast move. You tap on the right side of the screen, it's another fast move, and you have 2 charge buttons. It's that simple. And he's like, well, why is that important? I was like, well, if a Pokemon has 2 types, sometimes you want to have 2 dark type moves. Sometimes you want to have 2 fire types moves. If it's a fire and dark Pokemon, sometimes you want to have that. And when it's a defender, you can better protect yourself from the attackers. And when you're an attacker, you can better diversify. You know, when you're doing PvP and you only can have 6 Pokemon, you know, if they all have 2 types, now it's like you can have 12 Pokemon. You're better diversified, and it brings a lot more strategy to the game rather than just, you know, dodge and tap. And he's like,
right.
Okay. And then we talked about, I was like, I'm sure what's off the table, because the assumption in the community is that there has to be enough differentiation between the regular series games and Pokemon Go. So we know that turn-based is off the table. And he said point blank, word for word to me, he's like, I don't know why people think we're so hand-strapped by them. We really can pretty much do whatever we want. It's just we're still making those decisions right now. And then we went into a little bit more detail about that, because I was like, well, if you did turn-based, people are used to that. And there's way more strategy involved, because speed, you can have speed come into play, which you really don't use in Pokemon Go at all. And if there's bad connection, you're not having somebody lose because they have bad data connection all of a sudden either. So, there's a lot of different ways. So, but that's why PvP is not coming out. Like, PvP might come out this fall, but it's not coming out this summer, because they just don't have. I mean, there's 4 major quarterly updates. We
Right.
had. I guess you really count Gen 3 being spread out. And that's going to continue, by the way. They're never going to release all of them at once ever again. That's Gen 4 is going to come out in waves the same way. Just from an engagement standpoint, I could tell in my play was much more engaged, because I was like, oh, we have 30 more Pokemon to catch, and I don't have those.
Yeah, we
No,
talked
we-
about that too.
Yeah, we were
Right.
big fans of the staggered rollout. That was
It just keeps it more
awesome.
interesting throughout a longer
Right.
period of time.
No, and so that's definitely going to be the case for the future. I asked them specifically about Pokemon that haven't been released, and most of the answers were they're just trying to honor them properly. He said, so many people were calling for Delibird that they're like, well, if we just release it where it's only damage and not up or down, we don't have to reprogram the entire system, and we can always change the system later. But they're kind of trying to not do that with Schmeargle. They're trying not to do that with Sinninja. They're trying to be a little bit better. If you bring Sinninja in, you kind of need abilities, otherwise that 1 HP is gonna, you're gonna sneeze at it and it'll die. That's not gonna work. So there's some reasons why, and Deoxys having multiple forms. How do you want to do that? Do you want to do it like cast form where it's affected by the weather, or it's just random?
No, that's something that I'm excited about, is how, as the game and the generations release, they're going to have these deeper mechanics that are going to be necessary to bring into the game. And hearing what you're saying is, if they want to stay true and honor these Pokemon correctly, they're going to have to retain some kind of mechanic from the main series to make it, a true, give it the respect it deserves. So, it could be new items, different mechanics, but yeah, all that stuff has to come in before they can launch the Pokemon. I mean, even when you look at like Rock Smash and the move, like, what are they going to have to do? Is it adventure? What are they going to have to do to release this in real time, like mid swing? Could they, so there's a lot of stuff that has to go on in addition to, just saying, all right, it's out. You know what I mean? There really has to be a lot of infrastructure and back end work to kind of prep the thing mechanically before they can, start putting gas on it.
Yeah, and that's why, a lot of the things that never got in the podcast, like I was asking about, how many employees they have and how they're spread out. And I know they moved into a bigger office in San Francisco. And, when they announced that they were going to bring in when they were going to expand to a third game, we were going to have the Harry Potter game coming up. I said, a lot of major Pokemon players said, okay, this is it. The game's dead. They're focusing on the other thing. When that happened, they doubled their staff for Ingress, and they almost doubled their staff for Pokemon Go. They're up to 200 employees for just Pokemon Go. And they have a bigger staff for Pokemon Go than they do for Wizards Unite. In fact, the only thing I asked about Wizards Unite, I was like, oh, that's coming out this summer. He's like, God, it's not close. It's probably, and I could tell, and Kelly was not just saying something to say something. So I feel like there's some things they want to get right in Pokemon Go first before they release it. And it just seems like it kind of weird. Like, you think about like releasing an AR game in the winter time, but South Korea got Pokemon Go in February a year ago, and they were nuts.
Yeah.
They were,
No, I saw the Stampedes.
So winter break is winter break is kind of the opinion I got from him. Something, but he said we don't have a timetable officially that we can promote yet. But they're not trying to hold off, and then they're relaunching Ingress Prime too, which is going to be an updated version of Ingress. So I mean, they're busy. They're like, the famous saying we was using an example. It's like, hey, if you have a $20 bill and a $50 bill and a $100 bill, which one do you want? They're like, a $100 bill. No, you want all of them. So even if Pokemon Go is the $100 bill and Ingress is the $20 bill and Harry Potter's going to be the $50 bill, you want all of them. it's not focus on just one. 170 is more than 100. I know this is,
Oh, that's awesome.
We were
So,
talking
all right.
about that kind of concept of where you put your resources.
Yeah. All right. As we wind up here, I want to just ask you, what were the biggest takeaways from the conversation? I mean, I'm sure that there was just so much information flying around, and I know as a gamer and as a trainer and as a player and a fan in general, it must have been, pretty exhilarating to be going through this. So what did you actually retain the most? Like, what were the key points that made you feel confident about the game or made you feel good about the game? And, overall, I'd imagine that just the dynamic and the cool head on John Hanke probably had to be one of the coolest things, right? Just him being so down to earth.
Yeah, I'll tell you, all the things that I haven't shared is like the personal conversation we had about his family and what he likes to do for fun and just the type of person he was and the challenges he had when they were starting the company and the decisions he had to make and the sacrifice he has to make. That was one of the things. So like I said, having the right leadership in the game, just something as simple as the willingness to humor me for an hour, and he wasn't humoring me. Like, he was actually engaged and interested in taking notes. Like that was a big thing. He gave me some stuff at the end. I never mentioned that, some little things that I can't share because you'll find out. It's the one thing I haven't told anybody. It's also in a different language, so I had a friend of mine translate it for me. So that's the only thing I'll say. But I asked him, hey, what's the biggest thing for the future? Where are you expanding? What's next? And he's like, we're not even, he didn't give me a percentage. He's like, we're not even close to what this game is going to be. This game is going to continue to be a community building game and a world game. This game is going to change how people interact with other people. Just as the greatest inventions bring more people together, this game truly is a community building game. And he's like, that's the thing that he is the most fired up about. And I could just tell it wasn't about he wasn't excited about Gen 4. He wasn't excited about PvP. He was excited about bringing people together. And when that's the focus, everything was going to fall into place.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's where, the stance that we take on our podcast is, we love this game, but really what it's about are the people and the experiences. So, if that's the prime directive is to, generate and nurture those experiences, then yeah, hell yeah, we're going in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. And obviously more real world events is a big thing for them, is how we can get more people involved. That's such an integral part of Ingress, even though it's a smaller player base, is like bringing major players together. And so, multiple events is as many places as possible. And I know obviously, there's no way to make everybody happy. It's got to be in big areas because there's more people there. But, having enough where, it's like there is an event that you can get to somewhere where you live, most people on this planet, once a year. I know that's a big focus for them.
That's awesome. That is great. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. It was really cool hearing some of the insight into how the conversation went down and how casual it was. I think that's pretty cool, and it's actually pretty inspiring to think. And I kind of judged Mike. I judged John Hanke when he was on stage at GoFest last year, and I said, this guy's awesome. Like, he's taking his licks and he's hanging in there. And it was like he didn't fade the whole day. He's just sitting there, legs crossed on stage, So at that point I knew that this guy was all right. I was a fan. So, but thank you so much for coming on. Let the people know where they can find you in the 40 Club and all that stuff. Please.
Yeah. No,
I'll put everything in the show notes as well.
Yeah, on Twitter, I'm Pokemon Doctor YT, like short for YouTube. We haven't quite got the YouTube channel off the ground, but that's going to be imminent because we have a couple things in the background that are working on that you'll find out about very soon. That I think will help with the competitive nature of this game and involve more people. So that'll be fun. The 40 Club podcast, the easiest way to find that, if you go to my Twitter, there's a link directly to all of them. Very simply, it's 40club.libsyn.com. And they have all the current ones up, and that'll be there's no regular specific schedule. It's kind of when something major happens. We post something. 3 of the 4 of us are going Saturday to GoFest 2, so there might be a live one very simply. And we'll have some special guests at that can be epic. Yeah, and you'll see me out there. I'm starting to stream on a regular basis, and
Nice.
I post anything cool that happens and tips and everything on my Twitter. So definitely follow that, and we'll get you there. And I'm very good at responding things as long as you're polite. If you're not, as long as you're polite, I'm very, very good at responding and answering questions. And I'm pretty timely. I obviously, like most high-level players, my phone is glued to my hip and my hand. So I do follow that pretty quickly. But yeah, as always, I really appreciate your time. Love what you guys are doing, and any way I can help you guys out, you just let me know.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man.
dude.
Let's definitely hook up at GoFest, man. I'll get in touch.
You got it. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks again, man. Take care.
I play Pokemon Go every day. I play Pokemon Go.
And we're back. Welcome back. Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Alert Up.
So huge shout out to Doctor PoGO. Thank you so much again, Mike, for chatting. It was super exciting to hear things directly from you and live vicariously through you for a moment. It was really cool. Now I do want to address a couple things. So there was a lot of topics that Mike talks real quick. And he covered a lot of stuff in the interview and, was dropping names and talking fast and talking things. And he mentions Brandon Tan. And, there was one important thing he mentioned about John Hanke's main concern of people not being able to sell Pokemon or profit from Pokemon and, the black market of what Pokemon Go could be. And that was kind of curbing PvP and things like that, or curbing trading. And I was looking at Melissa and I thought I thought her face was going to explode. And even for me, it was like, I wanted to make sure that, there was a time and place to discuss some of these topics that we've been talking about over the past few weeks with spoofing and Brandon Tan and, selling service and all that stuff. And I didn't want to get into it because I wanted to keep the talk kind of on track and keep it focused. And again, I plan on interacting with Dr. PoGO a lot more and the verified Level 40 Club and Level 40 Club podcast and all that. I can learn a lot from them. So I really didn't want to, kind of put him in the hot seat or turn him around or make him kind of discuss anything that would have been a little bit too uncomfortable. So I kept it like that. So I don't want you to think that I was just resting on my laurels and didn't speak up when the time is right. I knew that there's a time and place for everything, and I wanted to keep the podcast moving and the interview focused on point. But we will discuss these things, and I think Dr. PoGO would be a perfect person to talk about these items with because he interacts with people on that level, and we'll get to that. So hopefully, Mike, you come back on and we can get into some of these other topics. Thanks again for talking to us. It was awesome. We learned a lot, and man.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
These hardcore trainers, dude, they move at a mile a minute. Like, I think I move fast and I talk fast. It's like, it takes, you got to be cut from a certain type of cloth to be a hardcore, trainer like that at that level. And it exudes in his personality. You just see how, how focused and just.
I felt like such a lame gamer. like my casualness. I was like, oh God, I'm a noob.
No, but that's the beauty of it, and the attitude that he was talking about of him having was the game is what you make it, and it can be so many different things for so many different people. And if you choose to play a certain way and certain things are important to you, that's great. Him and his squads, they're coming up with ways that are beyond just experience. There's other ways to enjoy this game and different things you could dig into. And he said, look, that's what makes this game fun is it could be enjoyed on so many different levels by so many different types of players. So really awesome. All right. I got to talk about this story, the worst day of my life. Adam, I think I sent you a text. I sent you an image, right? That's how the night started.
And I was like, are you serious?
Okay. Let me try to contain myself here. So we've talked about the ban waves that have gone on over the past couple months, and there was a soft ban where you could still log in and you could still catch stuff, and then there was the screen could not get data from the server, which was the kiss of death. That was the permaban screen, right? So I'm coming home from work. I get off the highway. There's 2 raids, Magikarp and a Snow Runt or something. I'm like, let me stop and do these, no problem. So this is at 5 o'clock. So I do these raids. I get home by 6:10. I log out of, I turn the game off. I hang out. 2 hours later, around 8:15, my son Josh needed ghost Pokemon for his Mew quest. So I was like, come on, let's go out at night. We'll try to find you some ghosts. Go to log in the game. What do I get? The cannot get data from the server screen of death, right? So now my son's in the car all excited to go. And I'm like, this can't be happening. I'm starting to have a full-blown mental breakdown, right? Like,
he called me.
I called her from the driveway.
He called me, and the sound in his voice was like somebody had just died. And he was just like, I can't get into the game.
I was just like, I can't get in.
I can't get in. I can't get into the game. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he just goes, I'm banned.
All right, so I'm flipping out. I'm losing my shit. But I got to hold it in because I got to be excited for my son. We're going out to get ghosts. Great. So I take him out. We go do our laps. We catch one ghost. And that was it. But I sucked it up the whole ride. And then the second I got home, I pretty much had a nervous breakdown, right? And I jump in front of the computer and I'm like, I gotta reach out to Niantic like right now.
Like, I did not want to talk. I knew better. Anybody who's married knows that when your spouse is really, really upset, sometimes the best thing to do is stay as far away from them as possible. So that's exactly what I did. They came in from the house. I immediately took our son. I was like, come on, Josh, time to take a shower, bedtime, pajamas. Come on, I'll read you a story. Let's go, la, 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 la. And I just see Ken just storm right into the computer room and sit down, and I just hear angry typing.
So I wrote a fucking novel. I wrote so I get to the appeal page, right, to appeal your ban, and I put the thing in. There's a thing to add attachments. There's a thing to add, extra comments. So I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm writing a novel, and I explained to them that there's no reason I should be banned. I'm an advocate for the terms of service, and I write this freaking novel. I got hyperlinks throughout the whole thing to gotta watch them all stuff to, it's insane. Like, I write this fucking novel and I'm losing my mind. I'm absolutely losing my mind. So I go through the thing, add the attachments. I'm putting photos of the Ray group, everybody smiling. Like, I'm painting this picture for them,
You're really selling
I'm
it.
really selling this shit. So I send it in. I get the automatic response. The automatic response says, thank you for your submission. It's being reviewed. If your in-game error message does not say specifically that you've been banned, you've probably not been banned. All right, so I feel a little bit better at that point. But from what we've heard online and on Reddit, we follow this shit. The can't get data from the server is the kiss of death. So I'm still losing my mind. I'm checking my email. Like, they're going to respond to me within 30 seconds. I'm like, refresh.
Oh my God.
F5.
Then we're sitting there in bed, and I turn the game on, and I'm just trying again, and I fucking get into the game.
But you don't understand. He's laying in bed, and he's fucking steaming. Like, the air was so thick, you could cut it with a knife, and I didn't want to say. I was scared to say anything. Like, I was prepared to not talk to him for at least a week. Pack my bags and just give him some time.
So I get into the game, and now what my head is racing, and it's like either someone read my reply and flipped the switch back for whatever reason and booted me back into the game, or this was just some login glitch and I happened to get that error message. Now, this is coming off the heels of the Pokemon Trainer Club login issues that they had earlier in the day. So I was already affected by that, and then I ended up logging in through I had just linked my Facebook and Google. So I logged in through Google because I couldn't get in through logging in with Pokemon Trainer Club, and I got in fine. I don't know if it had anything to do with that. I don't give a shit. I got back into the game. It was the most stressful 3 hours or 2 hours.
The funniest shit.
No, it
ever.
was.
When he finally got back in, and the look on his face.
I still couldn't even talk.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna.
You asked me if I wanted food or ice cream or something, and I was just like, I'm not there yet.
I was just waiting for
I'm not
tears.
there yet.
Tears to just come streaming down your face of relief. It just was absolutely ridiculous.
But anyway, I'm not banned. So
yeah.
All right, let's get into the last section of our show. We're gonna do the Latias Battle Party. This will be a
whoop.
Yep. Whoop. Oh yeah. Well, hold on, real quick. Well, let's do the Latias Battle Party.
Ooh, ooh, battle party. Ooh, ooh.
we're going to make this one quick because it's going to be very similar to the Latios Battle Party. Tier 5 raid boss, Dragon Psychic. It's going to have better defense than Latios. That's going to be the big difference. 45,704 CP. This is about 4,500 or so less than Latios. 100% capture is going to be 1929 or 2412. So 1929 for level 20, 2412 for boosted level 25. It's weak to Dark, Dragon, Bug, Ghost, Fairy, and Ice. So the same exact weakness as Latios. The counters, all the same. Pretty much all the same. Tyranitar, Rayquaza, Mewtwo, Dragonite, Latios. I'm not going to go into detail on that. So what I did differently here was I wanted to bring a complete, I don't want to call them B squad, but I'm totally bringing a B squad here. But I think that they can hold themselves high enough because they're going to be getting the stab bonus plus the super effective damage. I'm bringing Scizor, which I'll never use normally, Gardevoir, which is completely awesome but underutilized in my team, Gengar, which has been a staple but it's a total glass cannon, Lapras, I have a good Lapras and I never get to use it because I'm typically using Articuno, Jinx because Nicki Minaj is hilarious, and Granbull because people have been saying that Granbull has been super tanky, so I figured I'd anchor with them. So Scizor, Gardevoir, Gengar, Lapras, Jinx, Granbull, totally different squad.
Good for you, Kentown.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. That's exciting.
Adam, what are you bringing?
That's exciting. I'm going to bring Gengar, Dragonite, Umbreon, because Umbreon's been really good to me. It's got a high defense, so I enjoy using it a lot. My Alakazam and my Latios, and then I'm going to bring my Delibird with me, too, because it's an ice type.
Delibird.
See, it's effective. It's also, fashion and function.
Fashion and function.
And Melissa, what are you bringing?
I'm going to go for, I'm going to bring my Mewtwo, and I'm going to go with my 3 Dragonites. I got a 98% and a 93% and a shiny, because why not? And I have a good T-Tar and my perfect Lapras.
We got some diversity here. I think that's pretty cool lineup. We got probably, Melissa's the only one bringing some redundant Pokemon.
Yeah.
Three Dragonites. That's not typically your style.
That's not normal for me.
No, but
that's what I've been using for these, so.
No, that's good. All right, guys.
She's being super effective.
She is being super effective. That's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you so much for checking us out. Once again, big shout out to Mike, Doctor PoGO. We really appreciate you coming on the show. Check out everything we do over at GottaWatchTheMall.com. It has links to all our social media. Both RSS feeds for our podcasts are up there. You can hear every episode of every show that we've ever released. Leave us a review in iTunes. We would greatly appreciate it. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/GottaWatchTheMall. I am Proud Gamer Tweet on Twitter. Adam, where can they find you?
You can find me at PhoenixBack45.
And Melissa. And that's all, folks.
That's a good
We'll
one.
See everyone next week. Have a good community day, everyone.
Bye, friends.
Happy Community Day.